Good evening, friends. How are you guys? This video I'm going to be talking about. I'm making this video for all the Southeast governors, senators, all the elite in the Southeast. This particular video is directed to the Southern East elite, the governors, the senators, on the in a how am I going to put it? I don't want to sound tribalistics. I want to put it mildly. I have voted for a Northerner. I voted for a Westerner. So if I'm tribalistics, I will not vote for any Westerner. But I've done that. But I want this video is I'm going to give a compelling reason why all the Southern East governors, even though they are in another party, while this history might not repeat itself again, why they need to support Obi, regardless of whichever party he belongs to. In a lifetime or in a generation, we might not get this opportunity. This is the closest a Southern Eastern citizen is coming close to the seat of power for the greater good of the whole Nigerians. And if we lose this opportunity now, because of our foolishness and the way we think, then we don't know at what point that cycle might come back again to favor any Southern East. This is the closest a Southern East is close to that seat of power. The Norths are willing to back a Southern Eastern governor. The North are willing to back a Southern Eastern governor. But now it remains the East. And I'm going to send a message now to all the Southern Eastern governors, the elite, the senators, whoever is in the Southern East. If at the end of the election, the North did everything they could do, give the overwhelming support to Obi to win that election. And after the election, we find out that the only reason why he could not make it is because all the Southern East could not deliver their states. Then, in no any way, form, or shape or form should any Eastern person come and say, oh, you don't want an Igbo to be president. You've lost that battle. If after an election and we find out that the North did everything they could do to deliver Obi to the seat of the presidency by giving him overwhelming vote and support, and the only reason why he could not clinch that seat was the whole Southern Eastern state could not deliver their own region, then just know that that argument that the Nigeria doesn't want an Igbo to be a president is defeated. No any Igbo man is going to open his or her mouth and say, oh, they don't want us to be president. This is the first time in history a man from the East is getting the confidence and trust of the Nigerian people to sit at that power. The question now is, what will the Southern Eastern governors, the elite, going to do? Are they going to just be blindfolded of their foolishness to say, we are loyal to one person and we're going to direct all our vote to that person, or to help to rig the elections in the Southeast? So that's why I'm directing this video to my people in the Southeast. Okay, that's why I'm directing this content, this video, this opinion to the people in the Southeast without being tribalistic. Okay, without being tribalistic. So I believe it is something normal that let an Easterner also test that seats and also see how Nigeria can be bailed out from this nonsense we are in today. So I drafted a response to that. It's not a response, that's my opinion. I just drafted an opinion directed to the Eastern governors on why they, despite they're in another party, on why they have to back Obi to win the presidency. He's not vying for the president because he's an Igbo man, but history is about to be made with the help of the Northerners. The Northerners are willing to back Obi with a vote. What will the Southeast do? All right. What will the Southeast do? What will the Southeast do? Sorry, I'm trying to correct something. Okay. What will the Southeast do? So that is why I'm going to title this video "The Southeast, Peter Obi, and the question Nigeria can no longer avoid. Does every region have a realistic path to the presidency?" Does every region have a realistic path to the presidency? Okay, that's a question I'm asking. Peter Obi and the question of one Nigeria. Okay, now Nigeria's political history is filled with remarkable contradictions. All right, we are a country that proudly speaks about unity. Nigeria is a country that proudly speaks about unity, federal character, inclusion, and equal citizenship. Yet, after decades of military rule, political tensions, democratic elections, and the return of civil government in 1999, Nigeria continued to debate whether every part of the federation genuinely has an equal opportunity to produce a nation's president. All right? That question has become particularly significant in the Southeast. In the Southeast, since after the Biafran Civil War, and since the return of democracy in Nigeria in 1999, if I'm not mistaken, I stand to be corrected. And the emergence of Peter Obi has changed the conversation. Whether one supports Peter Obi or not, there is no denying that his 2020 presidential campaign awakened an enormous political consciousness, particularly among the young Nigerians who had become increasingly frustrated with the traditional political establishment. For many supporters, okay, Obi represented something different. Competence, accountability, okay, frugality, economic discipline, and a belief that Nigeria should have, should move away from a politics of based on patronage and towards politics based on performance. That conversation should not be dismissed simply because Obi is an Igbo man. In fact, the strongest argument for Obi should not be that he is an Igbo man. The strongest argument should be that a Nigerian from the Southeast should be judged by exactly the same standard as every other Nigerian. His competence, his character, record, policies, and capacity to govern. The Southeast deserves political inclusion, but Nigeria deserves more than ethnic politics. One of Nigeria's greatest problems is that politics discussion frequently becomes ethnic calculations. All right? Who is from the north? Who is from the southwest? Who is from the south-south? Who is from the southeast? Who has produced the president? Okay? Who is the next in line? These questions matter politically, but they should never become more important than the competence of individuals seeking office. The Southeast deserves a genuine opportunity to produce a president. But Nigeria deserves a president who can govern all Nigerians, regardless of tribe and religion. That distinction is crucial. If Peter Obi is supported, the argument should not be, he is Igbo, therefore vote for him. It should be, he is a Nigerian. He has a record, he has a policy, and Nigerians should evaluate whether his record and visions deserves their support. That is a much stronger democratic argument. Democracy is all about argument, context. Okay? Now, why the 5 Southeastern governors matters. Okay? This is why the 5 Southeastern governors matters. The decision of the 5 southeastern governors to align themselves with the APC has generated considerable political discussion. But one thing is that regardless of which political party they belong to, they have a responsibility that is bigger than the party membership. Their primary responsibility is to their constitution, their constituents, and to Nigerian. Political parties are vehicles. Okay? They are special purpose vehicles. Public office is a thrust. Okay? Public office is a thrust and not a right. And political loyalty should never become more important than the interests of the people who elected them. If a governor believes that Peter Obi is the best person to lead Nigeria, that governor should be able to say so. If the governor believes another candidate is better, he should be able to explain why. The same applies to the senators, members of the House of Representatives, traditional leaders, business leaders, professionals, and other influential Nigerians. Political party membership should never require intellectual surrender. Okay? A politician can belong to one party and still disagree with some of his policies. A senator can belong to a ruling party and still demand accountability from the government. A governor can support his party while insisting that the Southeast receive fair treatment. And an elected official can change political allegiance when he believes his constituent interest requires it. That is part of democratic politics. Now, why Peter Obi has become a symbol for many young Nigerians. The most significant thing about Peter Obi may not be his ethnicity. It may be because of the political movement that emerged around his candidacy in 2023. Now, his supporters demonstrated that millions of Nigerians, particularly younger voters, were prepared, to take a greater interest in elections and political accountability. The obedient movement became a political phenomenon because many supporters believed they had found a candidate who represented a different political philosophy. They saw a politician emphasizing productivity over consumption, investment over waste, human capital over political patronage, accountability over impunity. So competence over entitlement, whether Obi can deliver everything his supporters expect is a legitimate question. Okay? But the demand for better governance is not illegitimate. It is one of the healthiest things that can happen to a democracy. Now, what could be an Obi presidency mean for the Southeast? I purposely asked that question. An Obi president should not be understood as a government for the Igbo. That's why I have to underline that and ask that question. It should be a government for one Nigeria and for all. But a government committed to economic productivity, infrastructure, human capital development, and its institutional reform could have enormous implications for the Southeast. The region's strengths are already well known: entrepreneurship, manufacturing, commerce, trading networks, technology, professional services, and even small, medium-sized businesses. All this is what we know the Igbos are blessed with. The problem is not necessarily a lack of economic energy. The problem is creating an environment where that energy can reach its full potentials. Imagine a national government that seriously prioritizes reliable electricity for businesses and the industries, modern transportation infrastructures, efficient port and also logistics, affordable credit for small businesses, individual industrial clusters. All these matters a lot, including technology and also digital infrastructure, skills development, and quality education. And not to forget the healthcare, security, property right and protections, intellectual property protections, faster court and commercial dispute resolutions, reduce bureaucratic barriers, and also a genuine support for manufacturing. The Southeast would have enormous opportunity to benefit enormously, very, very well. But so would Kano, so would Lagos, so would Kaduna, so would Rivers, so would Delta, and all other states in the Federation. Benue, everywhere in Nigeria. So with every productive region, region of Nigeria, they would benefit. No one is going to be left behind. That is why an economic argument for Obi is stronger than an ethnic argument for Obi. All right? The Southeast does not need a favoritism. We don't need favoritism. Obi doesn't need favoritism. These are important distinctions. If we are to elect Obi, we're electing him on his merit, on his competence, on his record. Okay? The Southeast does not need a president who gives a special treatment simply because he's an able guy. No. The argument I'm making here is the reason why the Southeastern governors should not miss this opportunity to support their own. It needs a president who ensures that constitutional equality actually means something. The region needs infrastructure based on economic necessity. It needs security based on protection of citizens. It needs investment based on opportunity. It needs federal institutions that treat citizens equally. It needs access to national economic opportunities, and it needs political representation based on citizenship rather than suspicion. So the best president for the Southeast should therefore be the president who creates conditions in which an Igbo entrepreneur does not need political connections to succeed. But the same principle must also apply to Hausa entrepreneurs in Kano, the Yoruba entrepreneurs in Lagos, the Ijaw entrepreneur in Rivers, the thieves farmer in Benue, and every other Nigerian. Okay? The bigger question for Southeast politicians, what are they? The 5 governors, senators, and political elites of the Southeast should ask themselves a fundamental question. What will history say about our political choices? Will history say that we place party loyalty above long-term interests of our people? Or will it say that regardless of political affiliations, we demanded fairness, accountability, and equal opportunity for the Southeast and also for Nigeria? This does not mean every Southeast politician must support Peter Obi. It means they should be free to evaluate him honestly, precisely, without any fear or favor. If they believe another candidate is better, let them make those case. If they believe Obi is better, let them make the case. But Nigerians should not accept argument based simply on this is party in power. Political power is temporary. No. The interests of the people are permanent. The 2027 question should be bigger than who is next. Nigeria should not choose its president simply because someone believes it is their turn. All right? Nor should a region automatically receive the presidency merely because another region previously held it. The presidency should ultimately go to the candidate Nigerians believe can best govern the country. But there is also nothing wrong with asking whether the political system has historically provided equal opportunity to all regions. Representation matters, friends. Representation matters. Perception matters. Inclusion matters. And national unity becomes stronger when citizens believe that the highest office in the land is genuinely open to every Nigerian. Peter Obi's greatest challenge is not winning the Southeast. It's not winning the Southeast. It is winning Nigeria. If Obi is to become president, he cannot build his case exclusively around Southeastern grievances. He must persuade Nigerians in the North. He must persuade Nigerians in the Southwest. He must persuade Nigerians in the South-South. He must also persuade Nigerians in the Middle Belt. He must persuade Christians. Okay? He must persuade Muslims. He must also persuade young people. He must persuade older voters. He must also persuade workers. He must also persuade who? Entrepreneurs. He must also persuade who? Farmers. He must also persuade who? The professionals. And most importantly, he must persuade Nigerians who are not already supporters. That is how a regional candidacy becomes a national presidency. And that is why the Southeast elites have a responsibility, Okay, Southeast politicians should not be afraid of political competition. They should encourage it, welcome it, and then engage in it. They should not tell citizens whom they support. They should explain why they support their preferred candidates. They should not suppress young people's political aspirations. They should encourage political participations. They should not demand unquestionable loyalty. They should demand evidence, performance, and accountability. And if they believe P2B represents the best opportunity for Nigeria, they should have the courage to explain that position publicly, even if their party affiliation makes that politically uncomfortable. But equally, friends, if they disagree with Obi, they should explain why. That is democracy. The real victory is not an Igbo man president. The real victory is an accountable Nigerian presidency. The real victory is a country where an Igbo a person can aspire to the presidency without being treated as an outsider. The real victory is a country where a Northerner can aspire to the presidency without being treated as inherently unqualified. The real victory is a country where a Yoruba candidate can compete without being told that his region has already had it on. The real victory is a Nigeria where citizens judge candidates by competence rather than ethnicity. That is the Nigeria we should be building. If P2B wins, he must govern for everyone. This must be said clearly. If P2B eventually becomes president, he cannot govern as a president of the Southeast. He must govern as the president of Federal Republic of Nigeria. His government must be judged by the same standard we demand for every other administrations. If he fails, Nigerians must criticize him. If he succeeds, Nigerians should acknowledge it. If members of his government engage in corruption, they should face accountability. If his policies fail, they should be challenged. If his policies work, they should be expanded. That is what responsible citizenship looks like. Nigerians need a new political contract. Perhaps the most important lesson from this emergence of P2B is that millions of Nigerians are no longer satisfied with simply being told to vote for whoever their political elites are. They want to know, what is the plan? How will you fix electricity? How will you create jobs? How will you reduce insecurity? Okay, how will you improve education? How will you strengthen the Naira and the economy? How will you attract investments? How will you reduce corruption? How will you reform the judiciary? How will you make election credible? How will you unite Nigerians? How will you make Nigeria be productive? Those are the reasonable questions that should dominate the presidential debate. Not simply, whose turn is it? The Southeast moment should become Nigerians' moment. The emergence of P2B has opened a conversation that Nigeria cannot easily close. It has forced millions of Nigerians to discuss representation, competence, accountability, and the future of the country. The Southeast should not be ashamed of demanding inclusion, but it should also make a larger demand. Equal citizenship for everyone. I repeat, equal citizenship for everyone. The best way to honor the sacrifices, enterprise, and resilience of the Southeast is not to demand political privilege. It is to demand a Nigeria where no Nigerian needs ethnic privilege to succeed. A Nigeria where competence can rise. A Nigeria where businesses can flourish without political godfather. A Nigeria where elections are credible. A Nigeria where institutions work. A Nigeria where the president is accountable to the people. And a Nigeria where every child from Aba to Kano, Lagos to Maiduguri, Onitsha to Port Harcourt, Enugu to Ibadan can believe that Nigeria dream belongs to them. That is bigger promise. P2B's candidate should therefore be judged not merely by the fact that he is an Igbo man from the Southeast, but because of his competence, records. He should be judged by whether his records, character, policies, competence, and vision convince Nigerians that he is capable of leading the entire nation. And the same standard should be applied to every other presidential candidate. Because ultimately, the question Nigeria must answer is not which ethnic group should produce the next president. It is who can build a Nigeria where every ethnic group has a fair chance to what? Prosper. That is the conversation worth having. That is the standard by which Peter Obi should be judged. That is the standard by which every Nigerian politician should be judged. Friends, I'm going to stop my rambling here, and I hope that you guys have heard me, my own opinion, and I believe I've done justice to that topic. So I would like to hear from you guys in my comment sections and your thoughts and what do you guys believe. All right, on why Obi should be given a fair chance. Okay, Obi should not be judged as an Igbo presidency. Okay, Obi should be judged on his competence, his record as a citizen of Nigeria. Okay, and then I have made a compelling argument in this video on why Southeast should do whatever it can, even though you're in another party, to give some element of support to Peter Obi. Okay, and explain why. So, I'm going to let you guys go here because my opinion has been so lengthy, and I believe you guys have not lost in translation. And thank you guys for those that have been responding to my videos, and I hope you guys are enjoying it. For now, give it a thumbs up, share the video, subscribe to my page. I'm going to see you guys next time. Bye-bye.